I'm going to take you now to the scene of breaking news, a pursuit in Winnetka.
And yes, we are told it's a reckless driver. Desmond Shaw is live overhead in Sky 9. I guess it's that black Nissan we're looking at there, Des?
Yeah, Pat and Juan, that's right. It's this vehicle right here that's actually been not only flashing its lights at other vehicles, but also turning its lights on and off. Reckless driver suspect wanted out of LAPD's, I believe, the Topanga division. So we're in the West San Fernando Valley. We're traveling northbound on DeSoto at the moment. You see a unit right there standing by as we blast through the Van Owen light here. Units, though, are not directly behind right now. They're actually primarily tracking from the air. They do have a chopper overhead watching this vehicle like a hawk. I did see some LAPD units back perhaps a mile or so. They're kind of keeping their distance, I believe, because of the reckless driving. There was some talk of spike strips, but it's all going to kind of depend on what this person does. If he's going to be hanging around the same neighborhood, or if he's going to be going to other locations. If he doesn't start, circling neighborhoods, it's going to be difficult for CHP, or rather for LAPD, to do any kind of spike strips. I'd say maybe half the time we see patterns where they hang out in, the same kind of neighborhood, and LAPD can kind of predict their next move, and then they can use the spike strips. But if they just kind of drive erratically and not in any sort of a pattern, it definitely makes things more difficult for LAPD. But they are the agency primarily in pursuit as we head through Canoga Park northbound on DeSoto, out of Woodland Hills up through Canoga Park, and soon we'll be in the Winnetka and Chatsworth area. Juan and Pat.
Desmond, was this pursuit ever on freeways?
You know what? We had just heard about it on some really crazy speeds on surface streets earlier. Okay. I don't recall hearing about any freeways, but we had heard at times up to 100 miles an hour on some surface streets from what I was seeing. Now, I can display the speedometer for you right now from our Sky Tracker. You'll see about 60, 65 miles an hour, so close to freeway speeds here on DeSoto. DeSoto, a pretty wide major thoroughfare, though. I'll just widen out just to show you that there are no units behind him. He's got to watch out, though, because a lot of people park in that far right lane on the off hours. So even though this is a 3-lane street, you see him encountering a little bit of traffic. We'll see here as he goes to the center lane what his next move is going to be, just kind of cutting around traffic and zigging and zagging. He blew through a red light earlier, but again, it was because of those really crazy speeds earlier. That's why LAPD backed off the pursuit, and they're technically in tracking mode right now. I think they kind of want to see what he does, and they may have some plans for spike strips eventually up ahead, Pat and Juan.
Yeah, because right now it seems as though he has stayed on that thoroughfare of DeSoto for quite some time now, and he's still in Canoga Park, but as you say, he's going to be approaching Winnetka and Chatsworth pretty soon. Do we know where this started, Desmond, where they picked this vehicle up?
Well, we've been hearing it with LAPD's Topanga division, so I believe somewhere in the West San Fernando Valley where this started. And yeah, primarily we saw him on Victory and DeSoto, but earlier, just before we had gotten overhead, he was on some smaller residential streets, and again with some of those really high speeds, so that's why LAPD backed off on this one. So we're just going to have to wait and see what LAPD decides to do. Like I said, primarily they're following this from the air. DeSoto coming up on Nordhoff. So seen some pretty high speeds here and making a right turn to head eastbound on Nordhoff. So now he's going to be headed towards the Northridge area out of Canoga Park. Yeah,
and it seems like, Desmond, traffic's very light right now in this part of the San Fernando Valley. Now heading into Northridge, a driver wanted for reckless driving. For the most part, I've seen him go through some green lights, but I did see him at least blast through one red light. And as you were saying, at pretty high speeds, if this is correct right now, the car going, well, it's dropped down just a little bit there, probably because the interference there from the trees, but definitely going at a high rate of speed for surface streets.
He seems to almost, I want to say, oh, go ahead, Desmond.
No, I was gonna concur with Juan there. Just we're at about 55 miles an hour now. I did see him run through one red light. Yeah. We are on Nordhoff, and we just passed Mason Avenue, so pretty much into the Northridge area. That was kind of a little industrial area, lightly traveled, but most of the San Fernando Valley this time of the evening on a Thursday, especially during the pandemic, we're seeing lighter than usual traffic. So that's kind of a mixed picture. There's less traffic out there and less bystanders for this person to endanger, but it also creates more typically wide open conditions for that driver. Here you see him going through a little bit of traffic. Another officer, and it looked like actually they were going to try to spike him right there. So that was kind of amazing by LAPD to get in position that quickly. That just shows you how many units they have standing by in various locations, and they have the airship overhead calling out the locations to the officers on the ground. So if they're quick enough, they may only need a moment's notice to post up at different intersections to try the spike strip technique again. And it sounds like that's going to be their technique of choice right now. Haven't heard about thoughts of a pit maneuver or anything like that, Pat and Juan.
Yeah, and he's going pretty fast for a pit maneuver right now, isn't he, Desmond? And we just want to make sure we get another location from you. He just made another turn. Is this Corbin Avenue right now? He seems to be picking up some speed, too.
Yeah, Corbin Avenue getting above 60 miles an hour now, so we just turned southbound, and you saw earlier the LAPD chopper. Wow, that was a pretty close call. That was a red light, yeah. And you saw him go right through that red light. That was a really dangerous one. That was, I think, the most dangerous one we've seen so far. That was Corbin back, I believe, at Parthenia, where he just blasted right through that. So a really close call there, and again, that's part of the reason why they've been just kind of primarily tracking this from the air. They want this person to calm down, but it's not happening. Sometimes we see LAPD back off in hopes that the suspect is going to ease off the gas pedal, not drive so erratically, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes they just continue to drive like this, and still no units behind this person. At least he stopped at that.
Wow.
Red light didn't just blow through it like the last one, but he did obviously go through that again, at least coming to a stop. At the very least, but we're still southbound on Corbin, so kind of circling back to where this began. I believe it began somewhere near the Pierce College area, southbound on Corbin, crossing Strathern Street right now.
Yeah, they seem to have him at Sherman Way and DeSoto when this started, like at about 9:14. So as you mentioned, he is in the same area. He seems to be staying in the San Fernando Valley around. He mentioned Pierce College. I thought for a minute he could have been going to Northridge, University of Northridge, which, good thing, students aren't on campus. So as we've been talking about how there are fewer people out on the streets, where there are a lot of businesses, a lot of taverns.
Oh,
what's happening?
We just tried another spike strip right there, but it didn't work.
It didn't work?
And a bicyclist there too. Oh, gosh.
No, yeah, it looked like that did not look successful to me. It was close, but he kind of swerved at the last second. But again, you see, that's now at least 2 spike strip attempts that we've seen. Again, I'm not sure how many units they have involved in this chase, but it's a pretty significant amount to be able to get them out in position like that. And hopefully third time is a charm on this one, as we are on Satakoy Street headed back westbound. So really not too far at all from where you said this began, Pat, right around DeSoto and Sherman Way. As we come up to another major street, this will be Winnetka. You see he's going to have to stop here. Traffic flying by. LAPD eyeing him from the opposite side. We'll see what he does, if he's just going to kind of give him the eye here. But
they're right behind him.
A bunch of units now at this point.
You know what, guys, would you say he's getting more reckless as we've been on the air? I mean, he's making these crazy turns.
And maybe that's why police re-engaged him, huh, Desmond?
Yeah, I think, yes, I think that is going to be the case. There's just a couple of units behind him now at this point, as we're on Stagg Street. So back into a small residential zone here, up to 40 miles an hour on this narrow street, a dark, narrow street. I just have to see if LAPD is anywhere nearby that they can do the spike strip. But you did see a couple of units there. They're not far behind now, so they may be re-engaging. A narrow street going to go kind of flying right by a couple of vehicles here. A lot of apartments here, really kind of dense residential area, and back out onto Satakoy Street. So, this guy is kind of hanging around the same neighborhoods where he's been most of the time, not getting on any freeways or anything like that. So hopefully he has something kind of predictable enough, like I said, that CHP will get out there, or not CHP, LAPD will flatten his tires and get this over with. You saw that, there was a unit right there at Satakoy and Mason, but it looked like he was on maybe the wrong side of the street, or not quite in position. So This is definitely a stubborn one right now. Pat and Juan, this reckless driving suspect.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that he's away from those more narrow neighborhood streets, Desmond. These are wider streets, as you see there in the San Fernando Valley. Back onto Satakoy Street, a driver wanted for reckless driving. As far as we know, Desmond, just one person in that car, or unknown at this point?
Yeah, unknown at this point. Haven't heard any word about how many suspects are in the vehicle. Right through another red light, really close there. Just, I got to tell you guys, after covering so many pursuits, even when I have a green light, I kind of have a tendency to slow down through some major intersections for this very reason, because we've just seen this so many times, so many close calls and so many, horrible crashes with innocent people, because these suspects just go blasting through these red lights. And we continue on to Satakoy Street, coming back into the Woodland Hills area. If he continues, Satakoy will dead end in the West Hills area. I believe it goes over towards Valley Circle before it terminates there. So no real necessarily rhyme and reason, but it has primarily been in the West San Fernando Valley the whole time.
Yeah, and he's back on Satakoy Street. That's a very familiar thoroughfare for this driver. This evening he's ended up on Satakoy a number of times. And, we certainly can't get into these drivers' heads and try to figure out why this person is still running from police when at first he was wanted for reckless driving. So, by now he's racked up quite a few charges.
Making
and
a turn.
Making a left turn, that's right. And he's on Vassar.
Yeah.
Vassar. And that's
Vassar Avenue. Yeah, another.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Maybe this is where, look at that, the gate opens. I guess maybe this is where the guy lives. Let's see how close LAPD is. I see some red and blue lights. So we're going to try to get into position. It looks like, well, you can see they have the spotlight overhead, so he's not going to get away from the units in the air, but he may be hoping to buy a little bit of time and then get out of the car and run. And I think that's what he's going to do. We're going to try to get behind this building here. We see another person out there, and here he goes. On the run and into the apartment building. Telling me this is almost certainly where this person lives. You saw the gate open there. It usually requires a clicker or something like that. And away this person goes. We'll see, going to go into a unit there, a waiting unit. So this is, either his house or maybe his girlfriend's house or a friend's house or something like that off of Vassar Avenue in Woodland Hills. So you saw the spotlight. They know the unit that this guy went into, and LAPD is going to go in and they're going to surround the building here, make sure that there's only one way in and out so that they have the advantage, and just going to have to see what happens. This might turn into a standoff, Pat and Juan.
Yeah, and great job, Desmond, keeping that suspect right there in the center of your shot. We were able to see it, so did our viewers. The guy run right into that apartment, and as you said, this looks, Pat, to me like a gated community, especially since that gate opened up when the car got closer. So really nowhere else for him to go. Maybe he's trying to settle some things before he is eventually taken away, but police know where he's at, and now they're going
they're
to
right at the
approach.
Is that an officer, Desmond?
I think so.
Right at the
okay. And Pat and Juan, I wanted to mention too, it looked like I didn't see the guy sitting there fiddling with his keys or anything like that. He just went right in. Makes me think that there might have been somebody inside waiting, for him with the door unlocked to welcome him home. So unless, he left his door unlocked, highly unlikely. So here we are off of Vassar Avenue, south of Satakoy Street. All the units in response. The airship overhead, they have this person pinned down. They're going to have units out on Vassar Street as well, just to make sure this guy doesn't try to jump out the window or do something crazy like that.
And look at the neighbors. So there are neighbors coming out, obviously.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got a low-flying helicopter overhead and a spotlight on your apartment complex. Neighbors are definitely going to start to come out and say, "What the heck is going on?" And they'll turn on KCAL and they'll see exactly what's happening right now.
And we don't want to alarm people and obviously say things that we don't quite know, but this still could be it's a serious situation now, and it could be a dangerous situation somewhat, simply because of just how much he wanted to get away from officers and all the illegal moves he was making, and then the fact that he would bail out of the vehicle and run from officers inside, and that could be present a very tenuous situation in terms of officers even trying to approach.
Right.
You know?
And
We've
for
seen
whoever
a lot
else
of
is in
things
that
happen.
apartment too. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, there they go,
Well,
Desmond.
here they come now with
Guns
weapons drawn.
drawn.
You see 4 officers coming up, so we'll just have to see how they're going to approach this, fairly delicate situation. They don't know who else is inside. See him kicking on the door here. Yeah, kind of doing some Bruce Lee kicks there.
Oh,
no question.
Pounded that door right open. So here they go. Here they go in with force and guns drawn. And let's just hope that nobody innocent in there makes any sudden moves, and that we see the suspect come out in handcuffs here momentarily.
Did they make an entry? It's really dark, so I can't really tell from here. I can still see a lot of officers outside.
Maybe they can't without a search warrant.
Well,
Maybe
they kicked in the door.
Yeah, I mean,
look.
There's somebody.
That's somebody. That was
That's a
definitely not
woman.
the suspect. But yeah, I mean, the officer just kicked the door in.
Yeah.
I can't remember last time I've seen that, but they're going to detain her right now. She was acting like she doesn't know what's going on. And here you see some other officers. It looks like coming up the other side of the stairwell.
Right to the right.
Again, just kind of overwhelming force right now.
To the right of your
They're going to have
screen.
to go through. Yeah, they're going to have to go through and clear the apartment, and they don't know if this person is armed or not. This was a reckless driving suspect. This was not this wasn't one of the more serious felony charges that we often see. So that may be of some comfort to officers, but we still have no idea if this person has a knife or if they have a gun in the home or anything like that. So now
They're
we have
making
several
entry.
officers going in, and there's the suspect.
They've got him.
It looks like they're getting him up against the wall right now, and we can officially put this one at an end. And fortunately, after that tense situation and the crazy driving, we didn't see any crashes or innocent people harmed in this. And it looks like one suspect is now in custody, Pat and Juan.
Okay, I don't want to speculate again, but it almost seems Desmond and Juan asked this question in terms of maybe they knew something else, because they certainly went through a lot, even to just bash in that door like that to get a guy for reckless driving.
Right.
And he, what I'm thinking about was there any danger to other drivers, pedestrians? Not necessarily as much, but maybe they know something else that we don't know. You know
Maybe
what I mean?
the license to that car came back to a case that they were working on. Who knows? But it looks like the driver that we saw running into that apartment dressed pretty much the same as he is right there, now in handcuffs, being searched by police. Somebody else was also in that apartment as well. Apparently they're going to be let go at one point or another.
That's a lot of officers. A lot of officers, and some they're still going in, coming out. But all right, but this is a code 4. Desmond, you still up with us? Of course you are, because we still have your picture.
Yeah, I'm still with you. And, just kind of to go on what Juan was saying, there are a lot of times where, the license plate returns a known suspect or someone with a rap sheet. I've heard them call out before where they may even disengage with the suspect because they know where that suspect lives, and then they're going to wait, until a better time to go ahead and detain someone. So, every situation is different, but it certainly seems, like you said, Pat, I can't remember I've ever seen officers just go rush up to a unit and kick the door in. So it's quite possible that this person was wanted on more charges and had a rap sheet going.
All right, Desmond, well, we're going to thank you so much and move on to some other news right now.
Indeed, a red flag warning is in effect. Evelyn is next with the heat and fire danger. Ev.
That's right. We are expecting critical fire weather and record-breaking heat today. Will it last? All of the details coming up.